Once upon a quiet, moon-washed evening, when the stars blinked slowly as if they too were growing sleepy, a gentle voice began a story meant just for you. In a warm little house at the edge of a dreaming garden lived a mama cat with fur as soft as morning light. Her eyes were calm and kind, filled with stories the way the sky is filled with clouds. Curled beside her were her kitten's tiny, whiskered bundles of curiosity, each one purring like a secret being whispered to the night. Mama Cat wrapped her tail around them and began to speak. "Tonight," she purred softly, "we will travel somewhere very special, somewhere strange and wonderful, somewhere called the Wonderland." As she spoke those words, the room seemed to stretch and shimmer. The walls breathed gently, the floor sighed, and the moonlight pooled like silver milk. The kittens blinked once, twice, and suddenly they were no longer in their cozy home. They were falling, not tumbling in fear, but floating slowly, softly, as if the air itself had decided to carry them like feathers. Mama Cat floated to calm and steady, her tail guiding her little ones so they stayed close. Down, down, down they drifted, past shelves made of floating teacups, past clocks that melted into yawns, past books that opened themselves and read sleepy stories aloud. The kittens giggled, their paws reaching out to touch the air. "Do not worry," Mama Cat whispered. "In Wonderland, falling only means you are arriving at last." Their paws touched the ground, landing on grass that felt like velvet and smelled faintly of vanilla and rain. The sky above them was painted in soft purples and blues, as if bedtime itself had spilled across it. Before them stood a white rabbit, dressed in a tiny waistcoat, checking a golden watch that ticked backward. "Oh dear, oh Whiskers," the rabbit exclaimed. "You are just in time to be late." The kittens tilted their heads, ears twitching. Mama Cat smiled. "We are never in a hurry," she said gently. "We are going wherever the dream takes us." The rabbit blinked, smiled suddenly, and bowed low. "Then you are perfect guests for Wonderland," he said, and hopped away, leaving behind a trail of floating clock hands that slowly drifted into the grass and fell asleep. They walked onward, paused padding softly, until they reached a forest where the trees leaned in close, their branches whispering riddles to one another. The leaves shimmered like emeralds, and some of them purred when the kittens brushed past. Suddenly, a wide grin appeared in the air, then eyes, then whiskers. And finally, a whole cat faded into view, perched on a branch as if he had always been there. "Welcome, welcome," said the Cheshire Cat, his voice curling like smoke. "Most cats find their way here eventually." The kittens stared in wonder. "Why do you disappear?" One kitten asked in a tiny voice. The Cheshire Cat chuckled. "Because sometimes it's nice to be less than everything," he said, "and sometimes it's nice to be just a smile." Mama Cat nodded. "That is a very wise thing to say." The Cheshire Cat's grin widened. "You are a good mother," he said, and slowly faded away, leaving behind a warm feeling that settled into the kittens' chests like a cozy blanket. They continued through the forest until the trees opened into a clearing filled with a long table set for tea. Cups stacked themselves, teapots poured without hands, and sugar cubes danced politely into place. At the head of the table sat the Mad Hatter, wearing a hat much too large and eyes much too awake. "Cats!" he cried joyfully. "Wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Tea tastes better with whiskers present." The March Hare waved, half asleep, half excited, and the Dormouse snored gently in a teacup, dreaming of crumbs and pillows. Mamma Cat leaped gracefully onto a chair, her kittens following. The Hatter poured tea that tasted like honey and lullabies. "Why is a cat like a bedtime story?" the Hatter asked suddenly. The kittens thought hard. "Because," Mamma Cat said softly, "both make you feel safe." The Hatter gasped in delight. "Correct. Every answer is correct in Wonderland." They laughed quietly, careful not to wake the Dormouse, whose dreams were very delicate. When the tea was finished, the table gently folded itself into the ground, becoming a path that led onward. Soon they arrived at a garden filled with roses painted in every color imaginable: soft pinks, sleepy blues, gentle golds. Tiny card soldiers tiptoed around, painting carefully, yawning between strokes. From the center of the garden came a regal voice. "Who goes there?" The Queen of Hearts stood tall, but tonight she did not look fierce. Her crown sat slightly crooked, and her eyes were tired. Mamma Cat stepped forward. "We are travelers," she said kindly, "and these are my children." The Queen looked at the kittens, their small paws, their wide eyes. Her voice softened. "Then you may stay," she said. "Even queens must remember how to be gentle." The garden sighed with relief, and the roses leaned closer, as if listening to a lullaby. As the moon rose higher, Wonderland itself seemed too slow. The sky dimmed to a deeper blue, and the stars hummed quietly. Mamma Cat led her kittens to a quiet hill where the grass glowed faintly, warm beneath their paws. "Is this the end?" one kitten asked sleepily. "No," Mamma Cat whispered. "This is the rest." They curled up together, the Wonderland breeze brushing over them like a lullaby. Above them, the Cheshire Cat's smile appeared among the stars. The White Rabbit's watch ticked softly, and the teacups floated past, dreaming their own dreams. Mamma Cat began to purr, a deep, steady sound that wrapped around her kittens like invisible arms. "In every world," she murmured, "there is a place where you are safe. In every dream there is a mother's love, and wherever you go, you will always find your way home." The kittens' eyes closed, one by one. Wonderland faded gently, like a story finishing its last sentence. And in the quiet that followed, sleep arrived, soft, warm, and full of beautiful dreams.